Hey guys, what's up? Unrested back again. Today doing a reaction video to a half Japanese, half American YouTuber known as Lit Nomad, and he has a video called Why I Hate Being Japanese. And I started to watch a little bit of this, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. At first, I thought this was a parody, so I was kind of confused at first. And for all I know, I haven't watched the full video yet because I want to do a reaction. It may be, I may find out at the end of the video it's just a parody, but it started out a little bit strange, and I was a little confused if this guy was serious, but I think he is. And we're going to look into things that he hates about Japan, or I guess as he's made the video titled Why I Hate Being Japanese. So things he hates about his own culture. I can't really speak as personally, having only lived in Japan and not being Japanese myself, although both of my sons and my wife are Japanese. But I would like to hear this guy's POV just to, speak on it and honestly get you guys' reaction in the comments below on this. So let's just let it play out and see what he has to say.
Hey, what's up, guys? So, I'm Japanese American, and I spent the last few months in Japan trying to learn about Japan and its culture, and unfortunately, it made me hate Japan, and it made me hate myself. And I want to get into that a little bit in this video, but it's mainly because Japan is so incredibly white worshipping. It's just pathetic. And
Just to When he said this, I was a little bit confused. For the most part, Japan came across to me as very xenophobic, in the sense that not everyone's out to be xenophobic or be racist or anything like that, but they were just like a little bit confused sometimes when I'd get asked stuff that if I was wearing colored contacts or if I had plastic surgery on my nose, if I bleach my skin, stuff like that. Which I just thought like, oh, maybe they don't, they didn't interact with a lot of other cultures. Of course, international friends I had who spoke English and had been to multiple countries did not have these same questions. But I never felt like it was like white worshiping. At first, I thought he said whitewashing, but he says white worshiping. I never really felt this, but at the same time, I'm not the indigenous culture. I'm always observing it from an outsider's view. So let's let him continue.
you see it in everything they do. Like, for example, Japan's two main exports, video games and anime. And in both of those, you see it. Super Mario is Italian. Luigi, Princess Peach, they're all white. And it turns out that in that world, the Mario world, there are some Japanese people. You know who they are? It's Toadstool, that toad with the.
Okay, Toad. Toad is Japanese. Is this true? Okay, hold on. Is Toad Japanese in Mario games? Yes, Toad is a Japanese character. The character Toad and the special Toads were created by Shigeru Miyamoto, a Japanese video game designer for the Mario franchise. Wait, are they saying like it is a Japanese property? Oh no, he is Toad is a Japanese character. Okay, wait. Let's see if I say is Mario a Japanese character and it tells me the same thing. No, Mario is not Japanese in the Super Mario games. Okay, so Toad is Japan. Did you guys ever know this? Okay, let's continue.
The mushroom head, those little red spots, those are Japanese flags. I didn't know that. He actually
I had never heard this before. I've never heard that the spots on his hat are considered. I mean, it does match the Japanese flag colors and design as far as a red dot in the middle of a white background. Although I guess it's a rectangle put into a mushroom shape. I never ever thought of this while playing it, looking at it.
has a Japanese name too. But that meek,
Kino, Kinopio, Kinopio. Isn't that like Kinopio toad? A humanoid mushroom. Kinopio Mario. I don't know. I don't have the kanji, so I don't know the exact meaning of that. Kinopio. Humanoid mushroom. Well, I mean, it's Japanese, but it literally means like humanoid mushroom. Okay.
Wimpy, mute, silent mushroom. That
Wait,
guy's
wait, he's not mute. Toad speaks.
Japanese. That's the character that Japan said, oh yeah, I guess we can have a Japanese character in here. Let's make it that meek mushroom guy. The other character in the series that's Japanese is Yoshi. the
Wait, wait,
dinosaur
okay, Yoshi is a Japanese name. It means friend. Is Yoshi the dinosaur Japanese? Yes, Yoshi is often referred to as a dinosaur character, and his name and design have Japanese influence. Okay, so I mean, because he's a dinosaur, right? Like, last time I checked, Japanese people were at least human or humanoid, like Toad. Is he a Japanese dinosaur? Like, I don't. Am I crazy and like not connecting this as I mean, like he's got a Japanese name. I get it, but okay. Anyway, let's continue.
dinosaur, bro. the dinosaur that the white guy rides on, the beast of burden. He's Japanese. He can't even speak
So you see where I'm starting to think like this is a parody? Like maybe this is a parody. Maybe later in the video I'm gonna find out this is a parody. Let me know in the comments below, like at this point, if you're thinking this is a parody.
bro. And so, in the game that was created by Japan, those are the two characters that are Japanese. And it's like every other game, too, right? In The Legend of Zelda, Link is white, obviously. Zelda's white.
Yeah, but these are based on like European mythology, like medieval and European mythology. I mean, there's games like Sekiro, which are based on Japanese mythology, which the main character is Japanese. Is this a valid point?
In the game Metroid, Metroid is actually a girl, Samus, who's wearing
Wait, wait. She is. Samus is not a Metroid. Wait, what? See, I don't know. Maybe this is a parody.
like armor, and the girl is this blonde girl. I think she's German. So
Is Samus German? Is Samus from Metroid German? No, Samus Aran. Oh, did he think it was like uh Aryan? Like did he think it like that's what he thought it meant, like an Aryan race? The protagonist of the Metroid series is not German. She is a creation of the Japanese video game designer, blah blah blah. She's an ex-soldier raised by the Chozo. Okay, so she's not German.
okay, like we can't even see the character. It could have been a Japanese girl, but no, it's this blonde girl. Um, Obviously, Ness from Earthbound is white. Even the animal characters, like Star Fox, Fox McCloud. McCloud, obviously, he's white. So the cool fox is white.
Wait, like you can't take fantasy names and give the. So what is he Irish? But isn't that? I mean, come on now. Wait, really? Wait, we can't give anthropomorphic animals like human races, can we? Is this work? Am I crazy for thinking this doesn't work?
White. Of course, he's white. It's just
Wait, Fox is white? Guys, is Star Fox white? I'm gonna ask ChatGTP, is Star Fox white? Is Star Fox a white guy? No, Star Fox, also known as Fox McCloud, is not a white guy. He is a red fox, an anthropomorphic character from the Star Fox series. Okay.
embarrassing, dude. Like your most popular video game, Super Mario, your main characters are Italian. Like, can you imagine if the Italians made a video game? If they made the characters Japanese, what the Italian people would say? They'd be like, "Why are the characters Japanese? What does Japan have to do with this?" We're Italian.
Well, I don't know if I don't think Italians would be that upset. Would they? I don't know. Maybe if it was like Takehiro's like pizzeria or something, or like Takehiro's pasta restaurant game. Like I don't know.
Italian. That's what they would say, and that would be a totally rational thing for them to say. And it's only the Japanese where the default main character isn't Japanese, it's white. Now let's talk about their other main export, anime. Every single protagonist in anime is white too. So Naruto is white, Sakura is white, Sasuke is actually Japanese. And you can confirm this. Kishimoto, the creator of Naruto, you can look this up. They asked him, oh, if you ever had like a live action Naruto, like, or these, what race are these characters? And he openly said, oh, Naruto and Sakura are white, and Sasuke is Japanese. So
Yeah, but like Sasuke is kind of a badass, right? Like I mean, I've watched the series. Like they don't make Sasuke weak. I mean, if anything, he starts out way more powerful than Naruto. Why they wanted to make the main character white? There may be. I'd have to research the series more. Maybe someone can answer that in the comments below.
in your anime, your main characters are white. In your country's anime, you're Japanese and you're in Japan.
But this is like one single. There's tons of anime with Japanese characters in it, like as the main character, like tons. Uh, I mean, this is like just one single anime.
Your main characters are white, and then the sidekick is Japanese. Like that's
Wait. No, Sasuke's not. Okay, he's probably never watched this series. Sasuke's not his sidekick.
crazy, dude. Can you imagine like an American film being made where the main character is randomly Japanese and then his sidekick is a white dude? You will.
I I don't think we'd be that upset. I don't think we'd. I mean, especially if the Japanese guy was some kind of badass fighter, I think we would think that was kind of badass, right? I mean, am I wrong to say that? We, in general, in America, we really don't care who the lead character is. If it's a good story and a badass character, we're usually pretty invested.
Never see that. Even in Asian American films that are meant to promote Asianness, like Crazy Rich Asians, which was this big cultural thing, like, oh, it's an Asian film. The main character, the main guy, Henry Golding, is half white. Even in the Asian film, they couldn't get a full Asian.
Wait, is it's? I didn't think that was a film. I thought that was a reality series. Am I wrong? I haven't watched the series, so I could be wrong, guys. Correct me below if I'm wrong, but I thought this is just like a reality series.
Main character. Yeah, even Bruce Lee is a quarter white. It's pathetic. So, yeah, I mean, that's Naruto, but
But I mean, think about the movie Rush Hour. They made three of those, and the lead character was, I mean, he was fully Asian. He was 100% Chinese, and the sidekick was black. And I don't think anybody had any complaints. I mean, if he's wondering about American movies with an Asian lead, it's happened.
every single one, right? Bleach. The main guy in Bleach is white. Attack on Titan. That takes place in Germany, right? That's why everyone has.
Yeah, but that follows German mythology. Like, it, especially like the time period it's taking place in, it would be kind of strange if there was somehow like a lot of Japanese characters involved. Am I wrong to say that?
German names, or it's like an artificial world, but they're basically in German.
Like Vineland Saga, right? You guys, if you know that one, I mean that deals with like mythology as well, like a lot of the gods from different mythological religions in the past. Like you couldn't make all those characters Asian. It would be very strange. Like people would be like really confused.
Germany. It's based on Germany. And then obviously there's Dragon Ball Z. You know, I talked about this in another video, but Goku is a Japanese monkey at the beginning. He has a tail, and then as he evolves,
Yeah, but he's based on the Chinese mythology of, the journey to the west or journey to the east. I'm sorry. What I always get these two mixed up. Isn't he's based on that, right? Am I incorrect? And that character, the lead character, is a monkey. And that was created by China too, and they made the main character a monkey. He's just supposed to like represent that mythological character, like a combination of that and that character's like awesome. That character's like the most badass fighter ever. I don't think it was like to insult Japanese and call them monkeys.
levels up and gets stronger, he loses his tail, showing that he's evolving out of his like primitive ways, and he evolves into a blonde-haired, green-eyed white dude. Like it's not even subliminal. Like if you ask
Maybe like they're saying like they evolve into, I don't know. You know what? I'm not a Dragon Ball Z expert. I can't really speak on this. You guys, I'm sure some of you have a lot of background in Dragon Ball Z. I never could get that into this series. I watched a lot of Naruto. I watched One Piece. I watched Bleach, but I don't really know anything about Dragon Ball Z. So let me know in the comments below what your opinion is on this. I can't really justify anything without a deep background knowledge of the series.
Japanese people, they'll tell you, yeah, that's the message. He
Really?
evolved out of being Japanese
Okay, I'm gonna ask my wife when I get to Japan. This is a really, because she knows the whole series. I'll ask.
to being a superior white guy. That's the message. Dude, it's so cringe and embarrassing. For those of you who say, well, no, dude, like the main character of Bleach, he's actually Japanese. He just dyes his hair. Well, that's still pathetic. You know, like, why are you dyeing your hair blonde and brown and
Wait, what's wrong with that? I have friends in Japan who dye their hair blonde and brown and stuff. I have friends in America who do it too. My hair's naturally the same color as a Japanese person. I used to dye it blonde when I was younger. I didn't want to be a blonde American. I just wanted to look like, my surfer and skateboarder friends. It was like punk rock to do. I don't I don't understand completely. That's not okay?
you know, making it wavy and getting a perm? Like, why can't you be proud of
But people in America do that too. People who have very very straight hair and want curly hair get a perm.
your features? The Chinese and Koreans, they don't do that. I've seen like
Wait, Chinese definitely. I definitely see Chinese people who dye their hair blonde. I don't. I don't know about Korea. I'm sure there's people in Korea who dye their hair blonde. There's tons of like K-pop groups that do that. And I'm not crazy to say that, right?
aerial shots of Japan, the Shibuya crosswalk, and it's like 70% of the heads are just like blonde or brown and like wavy, and they're just Japanese people. Or if you see
Really?
like the Japanese World Cup team,
I think though, but the area you're talking about, Shibuya, is like really like counterculture. So I mean, there would be like a lot of punk rock, alternative dress and stuff like that in the Shibuya area. So it's like considerable to the area like Shinsaibashi or Amemura in Osaka, where I live. There is like a lot of punk rockers, like metal kids, like skateboarders and stuff like that, and they dye their hair blonde. I think just to like to be more punk rock. It's usually like the tips too. Like they don't even go like full blonde or anything like that. I think that's just kind of the same sort of punk rock, alternative culture type thing out in Japan. I don't know. I'm a 45-year-old man now, so I'm not as hip to all the trends, but I never any people that I met in Japan that were Japanese that were like into punk rock or metal or anything like that, it didn't come across to me that they were dyeing their hair to look more white.
for example, there was like one year where like 50% or more of the soccer players had their hair dyed. And they were playing like South Korea or something, and the other Asian team didn't have their hair dyed, so it was like really easy to see who was the Japanese player. Oh, that guy with the blonde hair. And I don't know what other people thought of that, but as a Japanese person, I felt ashamed. I felt embarrassed. Like, why? What, bro? You're Asian. Like, why are you trying to be white? It's embarrassing. It's cringe.
I mean, if I thought about the reverse, if I thought about like a white guy who tried to do more stuff to look Asian, like there wasn't there some guy in South America who got like a bunch of surgeries to look like a K-pop idol. I believe he was from South America, somewhere in South America. That did seem kind of cringe, just because he had to alter himself so much. Like that's like literally going under the knife and having like multiple surgeries. I remember he had like upwards of like 30 surgeries to look like this guy. But simply dyeing your hair, I don't really find that to be you trying to be another culture. I don't know. I'd really love to hear what your feelings are about that in the comments below. Do you feel like dyeing your hair is trying to make yourself look like another culture?
Like your natural hair color is fine. It's cool. It's cool to have dark hair, man. It's tall, dark, and handsome, right? It's not tall, blonde, and handsome. And the dark is not like dark skin. In case you guys are curious, it's dark hair, right? What the Japanese need to do is they need to learn from the African American community. You see, 100 years ago, and I don't condone this at all, but 100 years ago, people thought that African American features were unattractive. And today, people think Denzel and Will Smith are hot. So, how did that happen? Well, they refused to conform to Eurocentric beauty standards. They basically pushed back on it. They said, I don't care whether you think that's hot. I think my features are hot. And they just pushed back on the culture. And the culture thought about it and was like, okay, that, sure, if you say so. And the thing about beauty, and this sounds
Okay, I can respect the fact that like you should take pride in your culture and take pride in like your natural features and stuff like that. I can completely get behind that. Like I don't think you should have to conform to the features of another race to make yourself attractive. I think we're all naturally attractive within our own races for sure. But then we get back to dyeing your hair. If a black guy dyes his hair blonde, I don't think he's trying to be white. There's a lot of rappers who put like blonde tips in and all kinds of stuff. I don't I don't for a second think like, oh, this rapper is trying to be white. No, it's just their style.
corny, the whole beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It sounds like a cope, right? Like, oh, okay, sure, that's what your mom says to you when, you look like Quasimodo. No, not necessarily. There's a science and like a math to it. Beauty is the average of all features. The proportions and symmetry are the average of all features, not to be confused with the average features. Those are two separate things, right? Being average looking doesn't mean your features are the average of all people. So if you have the most balanced features, you're symmetric, and the size of all the things on your face are the most average of all the people you see in that region, it's an indicator that you're healthy. Because if anything is weird, like your nose is really big or your ears are really big or something, it could mean you have some kind of infection or there's something wrong with you. It could be a sign of a healthy.
I have heard the idea of symmetry is what creates, beauty in the eye of the beholder. That as humans ourselves, the things we do look for is symmetry. I don't know though, but there's like cultures where like a larger nose is considered attractive. Other features of the face, like a larger chin, is considered attractive. And there's been eras throughout history where like what is considered an attractive feature has changed. So I don't know if this is always correct. Some of these I could consider somewhat objective, like symmetry. But symmetry doesn't mean something could be big or small. It means that on both sides of a shape or object, it is the same. It's similar, symmetry, right? So I I don't know if I completely agree with this.
Defect. What you're doing when you say, well, no, these are the features I find attractive. So take that into consideration. You're adding that into the average of the pool. And the more exposure people get to your features, the more they get used to it and think, actually, I can see how that's attractive. That's how it works. The Japanese, rather than saying, well, no, you should embrace our features. This is just how we look. So
But he also said the Koreans don't do anything to change their features, but they have like the most plastic surgery like in the world. Like so he's wrong about that too. They also do a lot to like make their skin paler. They take like skin bleacher and stuff like that. Now, I don't know if I would say their plastic surgery in South Korea tries to make them look less Korean, but it does try to line up like more symmetry going on with the face. There's a ton of facial surgeries and plastic surgeries that people go through in South Korea. So him saying like they're really comfortable with their own natural beauty, I don't know if I would agree with that either.
this is good. This is beautiful in its own way. Rather than pushing for that, they folded to the Eurocentric beauty standard and conformed to it. And since Asians are so different looking from Europeans, by default, all Asians, or almost all Asians, are going to be attractive when you choose to go that way. So the African Americans didn't go that way. They didn't say, oh, well, since the Eurocentric beauty standard is the only standard, we're all unattractive then. They said, well, no, we think this is beautiful. So you just have it wrong. And they pushed back on it. And then they won. And so now people think, oh, actually, I don't know what they were thinking 100 years ago. They're just racist. Denzel and Will Smith are clearly handsome men. And I think they are too. But but it's an example of how you can push back on beauty standards. And
Yeah, but we have seen countries like fall in love with Asian looks. There's plenty of J-pop and idol bands from Japan that I've heard plenty of Europeans or Americans find very, very attractive, both male and female, and even more so with K-pop. I've met plenty of blonde-haired, blue-eyed white women who think K-pop idols are very, very attractive. So again, I don't think I can agree with this. I,
Things like thicker lips and curvy bodies. Those are things that in the 90s people thought were unattractive. Like Cindy Crawford was the pinnacle of beauty in the 90s. I remember that. And that's not the case anymore, right? It's way more the Kim Kardashian beauty standard, the thick lips and then the curvy body.
but see, that's the thing I'm saying is that standards constantly change and shift. So again, he's arguing against his own point.
And a lot of that is from African American influence. You know, they said, well, no, that's not what's beautiful. This is what we think is beautiful. And they pushed the culture. They influenced the culture. And so, in many ways, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And yeah, I just wish Japan had the courage to say, well, no, we think this is beautiful. Accept our beauty standards. Because,
I I think one of the ways Japan works is they don't really try to push anything of their own image onto other cultures. I think in general they do try to keep to themselves, and that's because it's more polite to be seen as humble in Japan. So I think imagining the Japanese pushing their beauty standards, and they do have their own beauty standards. They definitely do. I mean, they've got their own styles, like what they think is cute, all kinds of stuff. I mean, research a little bit about, J-pop and girl bands and boy bands out in Japan, and you'll find there's things that the Japanese absolutely adore about certain members of certain bands and, idols that they, go after, grab ya idols too. But in general, no matter what the idea is, Japan isn't big about pushing like their own life philosophy, their own work-life balance, their own beauty standards, their own fashions. And I mean, can we not agree that a lot of Asian fashion often gets adopted by the West because, in general, they start to make better fashion ideas first, and we were like 10 years behind all the time? I've seen by far the best fashion I've ever seen in my life come out of Tokyo. And then later, when I go back to Japan, I mean, when I go back to America after being in Japan, I'd see those mimicked like a decade late. That's a beauty standard, right? The way you dress is, and I've definitely seen it mimicked. So again, I can't agree with this.
different countries have different beauty standards. Like the Chinese think having a small mouth on a woman is beautiful. So they think Julia Roberts with her big mouth is like ew, and it's so arbitrary, right? It's like I can see both ways.
Yeah, it is arbitrary. Like it changes. Standards keep changing. You're arguing against your own point. Like there's times. Okay, so one standard I have heard in Japan is that a beautiful height for a man or a woman would be 7 to 8 heads tall. That means the entire height of your body is equal to the size of your head stacked on top of each other 7 to 8 times. This is even actually a rule in anime and manga to make the characters, as long as they're not like chibi characters, 7 to 8 heads tall. And that is, I guess, one standard. They kind of put that on themselves, though. It's kind of the same thing in America where people say like, "Oh, six-pack abs is really attractive," right? In Japan, like that's being muscular, like being like really buffed, or that's not really considered very cool or attractive or anything. A lot of Japanese girls do not want to see a lot of muscle on a guy. They'd rather see them as like slim, and that's just kind of a standard. And this is exactly what he's saying: is there's beauty standards and like looks and stuff that only certain cultures, times, standards, and things on the timeline actually appreciate. So him saying this is like arguing his own point, saying that like, well, standards change, so this might not be super attractive now, but it may be later. Couldn't that be true for a lot of different Asian communities and stuff like that? Like I said, like there's a lot of stuff that's starting to get copied from Korean, I mean, film, culture, manhwa. Same with Japan. There's a lot of stuff being copied from there as far as fashion, movies. I mean, we've even copied like horror movies from Japan and everything like that. There's like a lot that influences America from Japan, even more so now that we get anime and manga faster.
Ways, but I've been told by the Eurocentric beauty standards that Julia Roberts and her big mouth are expressive and beautiful, so I've just decided, oh no, that's beautiful. Like so much of our beauty standards are subconscious, and at that subconscious layer, there's a lot of wiggle room to push for your own features and say, well, no, these features are beautiful, and I just wish Japan had the courage to do that. Kind of like
Well, okay, so going back to your whole shtick on like, oh, they worship, you know, gaijin, foreigners, Westerners, European centric looks, but the manga and the anime that sold the best for these last 2 years in America, and they sold so well that they sold better than all the comic books in America combined, is Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, right? All the characters are Japanese. Tanjiro is like the most Japanese name ever. Every character in there is Japanese. It's based in Japan. Everything's Japanese tradition. All the characters are Japanese. I mean, I guess you could say something about like the half demon type people are like, they're mostly like yokai based, and even yokai are a Japanese created idea from Japanese mythology in Edo era Toshiden Setsu. So, I, you know, Naruto. Who's still watching? Who's watching the original Naruto in the year 2025? Um, I don't really feel like that represents what Japan brings over to Western culture these days. And I can't tell you how many kids at the school I work at, kids of all races, wear a lot of Demon Slayer stuff. They love that anime slash manga. They love the movies. They love the characters, and those are all Japanese based and very steeped in old school Japanese tradition.
a Ouija board. You have to kind of push it the way you want it to go if you want to fight for your own people culturally, right? The Japanese just aren't doing that. All their most beautiful models are half white. The Japanese can also learn from the Han Chinese.
No, there's a lot of Japanese models that are all Japanese. There are like I think one or two half models, and one of them is half black, half Japanese. That's very famous. So that goes completely against your white worship idea.
The Han Chinese are very proud people, and they should be proud. They have the longest continuous civilization. They've been around for over 5,000 years. They're just such an accomplished people. And they don't want to conform to Eurocentric beauty standards. They have their own idea of what should be beautiful, and they stick to it. So you don't see them dyeing their hair and running around with blonde hair like the Japanese do. And the Koreans as well. One thing that really annoys me about the Japanese is that they have this obsession with big eyes because white people have big eyes and they want so badly to be white. And so every single actor on any film or TV show in Japan.
Okay, so what he's talking about is double eyelid. Okay, double eyelid is what the anatomical name is for an Asian style eye. And I hate to inform you, bud, but there is many popular surgeries in China and Korea for double eyelid surgery, especially Korea. So this is not a Japan centric idea of making the eyes bigger. You just went off on a tangent about how Korea takes a lot of pride. They get way more plastic surgery than Japan does, and one of those surgeries is the double eyelid surgery. So, you're kind of contradicting yourself.
Japan has huge eyes. If they're the cool character, if they're supposed to be the good looking character. And then there'll be like a side character that's supposed to be uncool or ugly who has small eyes. And it's like that with their comics too. The only people with small eyes that come out on their show are like the comedians or people who you're supposed to laugh at. And then the cool characters who you're supposed to be like, well, that guy's cool, always has big eyes with double eyelids. And the thing is, in Japan, about 60% of the population has single eyelids and small eyes. And so, by pushing a culture like that, they're making more than half of their population feel bad about themselves. And it's just not a very inclusive or thoughtful cultural strategy.
Okay, only I do have one little bit of input on this that really surprised me one time. I remember being in Amimura and this, I was skateboarding with this group of like kind of punk rock kids. This is back when I was like only 27, and I remember one of them said like, "Hey, I got a question for you Americans," and I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "How come you'll date girls from Japan even when their eyes are like," and he did the thing with his fingers, like, holding the side and like pulling his eyes into like slits. He said, "You'll still date Japanese girls that look like that," and I'm like, "Yeah, who cares? Like, what, why does that matter?" And he's like, "Oh, for us, that's considered very ugly." And I was like, "What? Really?" Like, it really shocked me. I had never heard that until a Japanese person told me that. Like, I had never thought that that looked ugly or anything. I just thought like it's just a Japanese like aspect. And it was a Japanese person who said that to me, and it like really shocked me.
And it's also, it just makes them look foolish because their own royal family has small eyes. And if you look at all their politicians, they all have small eyes too. So all these actors that they push forth to the world, like they're not fooling anyone into thinking, oh,
Yeah, but like a lot of these actors have had surgery too. So, I mean, I guess he is right. Like maybe there is some sort of obsession through Asian culture to make the eyes bigger. But not being Asian myself, I can't really speak on that.
the Japanese, they have this Latin American look. They all have big, huge eyes. Like, no, they don't, dude. And it's just a bad strategy and it's just very self hating. So if you compare that with the Koreans, right?
But I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. Don't you feel like this is a part of like every race? Like every race has their thing that they think is ugly within their race and they try to like correct for, right? Like isn't every race have like, I've got freckles, right? I've met many people like me who have a ton of freckles and they want to get rid of their freckles. They're like, "Oh, it's like a blemish on the skin. I want to, bleach out my freckles. What kind of cream can I put on my skin to get rid of my freckles?" I remember it kind of bothering me when I was a teenager when I grew up, but then I just learned that I'm just whatever, dude, freckles, whatever. And some people really love my freckles and stuff, but well, I think every culture has something that bothers them that they're like, "Oh, I wish I could get rid of this" and stuff, right? So I mean, Japanese being obsessed with eye size and stuff like that. I mean, doesn't this get into like every race's hang up on some sort of feature?
And you watch K dramas and K films, you'll notice that they'll mix it up. Some of the characters that are supposed to be cool will have big eyes, and some of them will have small eyes. And that's the right
Yeah, but almost all of them have plastic surgery, dude. Come on.
strategy. That's a more thoughtful strategy. That's the kind of culture you want to push because, like Japan, the South Koreans, there are some South Koreans with big eyes and some with smaller eyes, and they don't want to make half the population that have small eyes. They don't want to make them feel bad about themselves. It's subjective to an extent, right? So they'll have these K-pop guys who are supposed to be cool that have small eyes, and by pushing that out there, the consumer
Yeah,
thinks
but almost every K-pop band has a ton of plastic surgery. Like I've even watched some of these like reality shows where they're like training a band and they're like, "Well, what are you gonna do? This guy can dance really good and sing really good, but his face doesn't really match the typical K-pop face." And they're like, "If he can dance good and sing good, he can always get plastic surgery." And they'll say that for both women and men on some of these shows. So I'm calling BS, man.
yeah, I can see that. He's kind of badass with his small eyes. He looks like mysterious. Yeah, I can see that. I can see how he's hot. And that's the way you should do that. You should stand up for your people. You should stand up for the way they look and try to fight the culture to embrace your beauty standards. Yeah, that would be my advice to the rulers of Japanese culture. It's be more thoughtful about how you shape your culture and learn from the African Americans, the Chinese, and the South Koreans on how you should push for your own people.
Okay, yeah. I can get behind that. Like, I think he's completely right about like take pride in your culture. Don't be ashamed of certain features of your culture. I completely 100% agree with that. But I do think he is running a bit behind on the examples he's using. I do know when Mario was created, the original idea for Mario, why he is a man with a mustache, I don't think any of us back then a long time ago thought, ah, Italian plumber. I remember reading that the amount of pixels that they had to use on the original 8-bit SNES didn't allow them to draw a proper face on the character, Hence, they put that mustache on there to divide the face and make it look like a nose and a bottom part of the head. And that's why that character came out like that. Now, over time, as graphics have gotten better and better and better, and illustrators have adapted him into a character, that's become, a point of his character creation. But I don't think race even came into their mind back then during 8-bit Nintendo when they originally created Mario. I don't know. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on this. This is a bit of a controversial one, I will say. Nonetheless, I will agree with him on this. That you should really be proud of your culture. Like, there's no reason to be ashamed or, you know, change how you look to fit another culture's ideals. I agree 100% with that. All cultures have their form of beauty, and they all have what are considered like their beauty standards and stuff like that. But I also feel like they also all have their own chip on their shoulders for what they consider to be ugly and stuff as well. What are some of the things you think are beautiful about Asian culture? What are some things you may feel like put a chip on your shoulder for your own culture that you come from are considered either beauty standards or not beauty standards? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you next time here on the Unrested channel. Have a good one.